Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be looking at TA2000's Weaver. Honestly, I was very impressed with his performance this game. I thought, game 3, you could potentially have a lot of nerves, but he stayed locked in, and he made this game on Weaver, this carry game on Weaver, against one of the top teams in the world right now, at least in my opinion, Team Falcons. He made this hero look insane, and so I want to talk to you guys about how to be a better carry player, things to look for, how to simplify your gameplay, because honestly, I think the main thing that I took out of watching this replay a couple times now, it's not that he didn't do anything crazy. He made like one play on Ancients, he came mid and took a mid wave at some point, he pressured mid tower and barely lived. So there were some risks that honestly, all of them worked out. But for the most part, right, 80 to 90% of what made him a good player this game, of what enabled him to just have a solid match, was strong fundamentals, strong farming patterns, strong understanding of when to connect to kills and when to just kind of hit those creeps. Alright, before we get into the main part of the video, I do want to let you guys know that I'm not only posting videos here on YouTube, I also frequently post videos on the website. If you don't know what I'm talking about, almost every single day I'm posting a new video to the Game League website. We're going to teach you guys in depth about how to get to the next level. So if you want to become absolutely broken, click the link down below and sign up. So one thing to note this game is that he's against Centaur. Centaur is an interesting hero against Weaver because you have the option to max retaliate and buy armor and attempt to live in that regard. The problem is it's actually not as good as you might think, especially with Tree and Leech Seed. The Weaver can actually out-heal the damage and go on the Centaur. And now TA2000 understands this. He understands this, and you can see that because he's actually willing to hit the Centaur from time to time. He's not going to hit him crazy, but occasionally when he has his E up, he'll actually make the trade and look to get a little bit aggressive. This eventually leads into some pressure, and the big play that he makes here is that he's just very aware of his Treant's positioning. Mostly, he was just farming up the creep wave, 36 CS, a minute 740 is pretty good, nothing insane, but it's pretty good. But immediately when Treant is in position, right as he closes the gap, they hit at the same time. And this is a mark of a good player. Good awareness of his teammate, and when his teammates are getting aggressive, he's able to connect at the exact point in time. The majority of good Dota gameplay should happen without communication, and should just happen because of good minimap awareness. If this isn't the case for you, it has to change. You have to be able to make plays and synergize without communications. Pings, of course, are great, but are not necessary. Okay, so they go on the Centaur, they kick him out. It's good, they force a stampede. It's a good Weaver game, right? This is something to keep in mind this match. This is a game, and he will understand this, and you'll see he'll understand this. This is a game where they have very little for Weaver. Quap has no catch for Weaver. Abaddon has no catch for Weaver. Neither does Enchantress, and Shadow Demon is underwhelming at best. The only hero is maybe Centaur, who also isn't the best at catching Weaver until he has Blink Dagger. But okay, for the most part, he's actually keeping the lane back, and this is something I want you guys to see. I don't think a lot of people would make this play. I think what they would do is they would make the very standard play of just pushing the wave as fast as they can and farming. But he goes for a side pull here, doesn't hit it. I think he tries to side pull for the fact that he probably wants to farm that camp. Maybe he feels slightly in danger, but I doubt it because his matchups are good. But you'll notice he doesn't instantly push in the wave. He doesn't cast Sakuchi, and he's not using Gemini attack. And that might seem weird, but I think he understands Centaur is a hero that doesn't really want to have to jungle, right? What he wants to do is farm lane creeps like the majority of the Dota cast. Amar is actually jungling here, but once again, it's not the most efficient thing. And so something about being a good Dota player is not only making plays for yourself, but also understanding how those plays will then impact the person against you. So yeah, doesn't use a single Sakuchi, doesn't use a single Gemini attack, understands that this is not the point in the game where you giga flash farm as Weaver because you're just not strong enough yet. But even here, I can't believe it, he's actually going full aggression. He's playing fully to bully Amar, which is just him having great understanding of this matchup because honestly, I didn't think he should play like this, but he is. Another play you can make is pulling. The reason why is it's going to make sure that you can farm the next wave safely without getting ganked. This game, once again, I don't really think he has to do this. I think honestly, he probably could have just farm the small camp and then farm the wave. In hindsight, the main benefit to this is that it denies 2 creeps. And so yeah, he really just wants to make the Centaur not happy. And look at it from Amar's perspective, right? This is a good way to learn as well, guys. You want to make certain plays and then go into the replay and see how it impacted the person against you, right? So Amar farming up some neutrals. This doesn't feel very good because it actually costs him HP, right? He is not healing from this. He took about 250, probably almost 300 damage from that camp, considering his regen is so high. And now he has to go farm this camp, which he doesn't really want to do. This camp is shit. It's really inefficient with Blade Mail. You can. Obviously, his build is optimized to farm neutrals here, but only kind of, right? This obviously doesn't look very good. And why is this happening? Because TA2000 is not constantly, but consistently pulling the wave back and denying creeps. right? I actually do think you could push what he's doing to the absolute extreme and essentially never jungle and static the wave. And I really do mean this, guys. It would probably be better here because really the main thing he's getting here is a bit of cart pressure, right? I can see it. The problem is with no backup from your supports, realistically, you're not getting much damage. The best thing that he does here is he actually has a ward on these ancients. He sees crit on the Shadow Demon trying to finish him off, and he's able to kick out the Shadow Demon and take the remainder of these 2 ancient creeps, which is massive, right? These are worth so much gold, and he's only able to do this because of his matchup. So, of course, don't invade the triangle every game as Weaver. That's a bad idea. After farming the ancients, they just happen to bump in a Centaur. Once again, good synergy with the supports, being on the same page and making sure that they bully out the Centaur, and of course, he ends up getting the kill here. Does go for a bit of a dive, takes a bit of damage, but he's fine. I like how he backpacks his stat items before popping his wand. It's really good and important on heroes like Weaver that have massive sustain issues. This is part of the reason why Treant's really good with Weaver, because the sustain from Leech Seed really helps this hero. Now, at this point in the game with Max Akuchi, Falcon Blade, and 3 points in your E, this is when you can pretty efficiently take camps, right? These large camps. Also, he has Spark of Courage, which is a very major increase in your damage, and so yeah, at this point, it makes a lot more sense. The Centaur also can jungle pretty efficiently with Blade Mail. It's not great, as I was saying before, it's not optimal. He would much rather this, which is why he's going back to the lane creeps. The pros understand the importance of lane creeps. They're just worth way too much gold. But now he is just pushing in the wave. He's playing to flash farm. There's 2 reasons why this is good. Number 1, it's good because you can actually farm the camps. Number 2, it's good because usually at this point of the game, you're more susceptible to ganks. I think this game, as I said, less so. Yeah, he could maybe get disrupted into a hoof stomp, but even that might not kill him. And so usually at this point of the game, you don't want to show for that long. So clearing the wave as fast as you can, like not doing denies and such, makes a lot more sense. So like up until minute 9, you can play more of the deny, take away farm from the enemy offlaner. From there, as you get your levels up and the game progresses and people get nukes and ultis, right? Their supports hit level 6 at like minute 10, 11. You want to be more careful and show less. So he does end up coming mid here. I think maybe he was afraid of a smoke gank or something like that. But they end up showing mid, so he goes back bottom. Harasses Centaur a bit, but the matchup's not great at this point, right? With Blade Mail and Retaliate, you basically can't hit the guy, at least not comfortably. But he's going to push in the wave again. Look for this camp, but it was actually blocked by his teammates, which is normal for a lot of games, but they probably shouldn't have done it. He's going to farm backwards here because he doesn't feel comfortable. They weren't showing anywhere. It's just good map awareness, right? It's basically the mid game. I would say the mid game is like past minute 11, right? Mid game for me, like the best way you could probably define mid game is just ultis, right? Once people have their ultis, it's like mid game because then people can combo their spells and like burst you. Obviously, it depends on matchups, of course, and how your game is going, of course, right? But I would think of the mid game that way, and it's going to help you kind of like change your farming patterns according to the state of the game. Like minute 10, 11. So yeah, pushing out the wave, farming backwards, sees them in the tri-camp here, so he feels comfortable. You could tell his movements are clearly based on the map, right? Are they pushing forward? Okay, I'm gonna be a little careful, right? Do I see heroes? Then I don't have to be. Here, this is just them using the blink timing of the Earthshaker or the blink dagger of the Earthshaker. They have Echo Slam. They probably wanted to find Centaur, but whatever. They're gonna take the free kill, and these free kills are great. They're a lot of gold, 280 gold. It's like a creep wave and a half. It's really good. It also frees up this area, right? Because you know now that Shadow Demon is dead, your team's in the area, so they end up getting some really good damage. They do go in the Centaur here, actually take him out. What a nice overgrowth. That was beautiful. Uses the time lapse, gets out. Does decide to hit the tower here. I think this is partially just because he wants to farm the wave, right? He's just in the area, so he feels like, okay, I guess I'll hit the tower. Weaver's pretty good at hitting towers because with Dragonlance, you could do it in a safe area and then Sakuchi away, and that's exactly what he does. From here, he actually does connect mid. He wants to pressure and take down the mid tower. I think with Deso, he feels safe to do this, but with no time lapse, you could argue he should have been a little bit more careful. They even knew that he had no time lapse, and they go on him. Thankfully, he's barely able to live. Like, this was really close. Oof, that double edge almost went off, even though it wouldn't have killed him, but yeah. Goes base. Okay, that was a little bit overplayed, right? Not optimal. Probably should have waited for time lapse, because realistically, they can't kill him with time lapse. I think it's almost impossible, so probably should have waited, farmed one camp, and then made that play. Would have been better. Decides to connect here, and now he's at his major mid-game timing, right? You got your 10 talent, you got your strength talent, you've got your Deso, you're feeling strong. However, his team feeds a little bit, whatever, things don't go his way. They kind of get pushed backwards. And when your team gets cornered like this, right, you can see the Shaker and the Treant are by the tier 2. Things don't feel so good. It's good, especially as heroes like Weaver and other mobile carries, to get to the other side of the map and push it in, right? When your team is not ready to fight. When they are ready to fight and you're on your timing, you'll see he's going to connect. So it's very, his gameplay just, it kind of makes sense. It's very flowcharty is what a lot of people would say. It's flowcharty, where he's almost following, I don't want to say he's following a formula, because I guarantee that this is almost strictly intuition, right? What he's doing here. I don't think he's thinking about it in the game, probably at all. They then go for Roche, and this is a big thing too. He gets out of bottom, because if he dives bottom, maybe with the Abbot on edge, the enemy team takes Roche, so he avoids that potentially game-earning death by hitting the portal and now connect to a fight. And of course, now he's looking to fight. He's got his Deso. At this point in the game, he's got the Shard too, so you're going to see him naturally cross people with Sakuchi, because then when you come out of the Sakuchi, you shoot an extra auto attack on anyone you've applied Sakuchi to or done damage to with Sakuchi, and they pretty comfortably win this team fight, largely because of his very strong game. He shut down the Centaur pretty hard. You can see the Centaur is very, very poor, and yeah, this is largely due to his very, very impressive gameplay. Just forcing this Centaur into very awkward positions and having suboptimal farm. But even here with Aegis, notice how he's still looking to farm, right? So he's got Aegis here. He is playing pretty far up. Once again, good matchups. But yeah, isn't willing to kind of take these back camps. He's pretty okay with slowing down the pace of the game, and I don't want to say hitting a ton of neutrals. It's not a ton of neutrals. It's just a couple of camps and then connecting back to his team. And this is what the good players do, right? They hit a couple of camps and then they reconnect. And this is how you be efficient and help your team at the same time as a carry player, right? This is how you get farm, but also be able to fight. And of course, Weaver is a hero that naturally likes to do this. I mean, I would say most carries like to be active nowadays. I feel like it's pretty uncommon to see a carry just completely farm. Maybe on something like PL or Naga for the first 20 minutes, but even then, they often connect. Gonna shove in the mid wave, use the Shard, farming up his BKB here. Clearly just using this first Aegis as a farming Aegis or a scare the enemy team Aegis as he's considering cutting the mid wave. Decides just to cut the top wave. Very efficient, very fast with that, with the Shard. They're gonna go for the tier 2 here. He tanks a little bit, he's got living armor. They get the tower. Are they gonna force back? Yeah, so he's gonna force them back here. The idea behind this play is, okay, I have good matchups, I can hit the tower a little bit. That time lapse was insane. I was like, oh my god, I cannot believe he time lapsed. They're gonna smoke to the mid lane here. He's gonna look to push it in. He's got his BKB, he's got Aegis for 40 seconds, so he kind of wants to be the Giga Chad initiator. They end up finding lasso onto the Centaur. He's gonna hit him. Does a lot of damage to himself, but it's fine. Sakuchi up the mid wave, get the mid tower, and I mean, this is beautiful, beautiful from Quest. They're just taking all the towers very methodically, finding kills frequently at the towers as well as, oh my gosh, they catch the Clop too. Did look to connect to that one, wasn't needed. But yeah, that's gonna be about all for today's video. I want to keep this video pretty short, mainly focus on the mid game, which I like putting at minute 11 to like, let's say 25. Now he's got BKB, game changes a bit. At this point of the game, I mean, wow, this is crazy. They're actually forcing them back. Sheesh. At this point of the game, usually if you're winning the match like this, you just choke the enemy out. What that means is you put down lane wards, you scout them to see if they're leaving the base, and then you play largely for Roshan as, oh, that's a nice bugs. Hit the support behind. Yeah, pretty easy team fight at this point. I mean, I don't even think he even owned this team fight. I think it's good that he hit the Abaddon though. I think a lot of people think that they shouldn't go on Abaddon. I think it just depends. If the Abaddon's super far up and you can poke his ulti quick, it's very good to go on him. It limits his ability to be aggressive. But okay, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, hopefully you learned quite a bit, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the Game Leap website, where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.